In today's Community Focus, with school safety top of mind after yesterday's horrific school shooting in Texas, we are joined by Rhode Island's Education Commissioner Angélica Infante-Green. She joins us once a month here on 12 News at 4. Commissioner, thanks for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to start with the topic of school safety in the wake of the Uvalde shooting yesterday. And I realized I didn't know the answer to this question. Are there statewide safety mandates in place for all Rhode Island public schools? And if so, what do those measures look like?
Yeah, so there's actually a school safety committee that is statewide where they make recommendations. They require certain things that need to be present in the schools, as well as drills. They have hazard reports that all districts have to put together. I can't say too much about them because they are really, the intent is that it is internal. But I'll give you an example, like bushes should cover like windows or so that there isn't a clear line of sight. You know, those kind of things are really important. And we have a really strong school safety committee that meets once a month, continuously meets, and they actually met today, coincidentally. And I just, so there are requirements, and every school has to have a school safety plan. And, it's something that we have continuously been working on, and we continuously update and make sure that we're in a good place. I met with the colonel this morning and the governor to talk about these safety measures.
The colonel of the state police or the colonel of the Providence
Yes.
police? Okay.
No, state police, because this is a concern statewide.
And what came out of that meeting?
Well, I think it's revisiting, making sure that all our requirements and our policies make sense, making sure that we remind people of the policy, making sure that we have resources for parents and students, and that everybody's aware of what needs to be done. And also reminding that school facilities, there has been an investment and there has been recommendations about safety lock, double door vestibules, buzz-in access, cameras on campus, all these things being in place. And there's funding from the school building authority to get a lot of these things done. So it's really important that we continue to invest in our facilities.
Yeah, is there currently a requirement to have the front door, the main entry point of a public school locked where someone has to be buzzed in, or is that left up to the district or the individual schools?
It's left, those individual things are left up to the district, but there are recommendations from the school safety committee. I have had the pleasure of almost visiting every school in Rhode Island, and I will tell you that I have never been able to walk into a building without being buzzed in by someone in the front office. It is really, we have measures in place, but this horrific crime that happened yesterday, our teachers go to school and, it's not fair. Our kids go to school and the parents should not worry about whether their child is coming back home. We take this very seriously, and we have taken it very seriously for a long time in Rhode Island.
The state currently has control of the Providence public school system. The Providence Public Safety Commissioner was on WPRI radio this morning calling for an armed officer in every city school. Is that something you would consider?
Well, we have not had that conversation, but what we do is work very closely with the police to ensure that we are working together, because they are highly trained in these measures. Excuse me. But the schools in Providence right now have crisis team that's going from school to school, making sure that the 5 schools that may not have bilingual staff at the senior level has bilingual staff ready to talk to parents. There's also been guidance and drills that happens in the schools. So we're feeling like we have some measures in place, and we have bought cameras for all the schools. And actually 2 months ago, we worked with 2 vendors to ensure that there were these locks in school doors, that there were the alarms. So this is something that we have been working on, and it is more timely than ever.
And what about active shooter technology? North Providence has something like that in its high school, where it would alert the front office staff and police that there is a shooting happening inside the halls of the school. Is that maybe metal detectors, technology like that? Is that something that you are looking at, would maybe recommend down the line for schools?
It's something that we're definitely looking at. Our conversation today was definitely around what other measures, what are the other things that we can add to what we already have. And we have reimbursement from the school building authority that would allow us to get those things. So we are, once again, revisiting everything we have and making sure that everybody's aware of the resources that can be facilitated to make sure that our kids and teachers and administrators are safe in the building.
I want to shift gears a little bit. Masks in schools. Providence is now bringing them back. Should families expect this rule to wear masks to stay in place through the end of this school year?
You know, we have continuously looked at the data, and we went from having 2 or 3 kids test positive, 10 kids test positive, to 20, 30, 40, 50. Now we're almost up to 70. So we have watched the data consistently, and we continue to watch the data. If that changes, we will lift them as we've done in the past. But right now, it is our responsibility to keep the students and teachers safe in our district.
So it sounds like families should be prepared to have this in place indefinitely.
Well, as long as the data is where it is. We follow the data. We have always done that. We're nearing the end of school, so we don't know what that's going to look like. But Providence is now in a different place than they were before. We have some of the lowest vaccination rates in Providence, and we also know that now we have moved to high transmittal of the vaccine, of the virus. So we can't ignore the data. We just cannot.
Staying on the topic of Providence, my colleague Steph Machado had a report last week about Providence Public Schools' continued failure to be in compliance with a Department of Justice agreement regarding the number of ESL teachers in the district. The DOJ said the data being supplied by the state was incomplete. I'm curious, how did this happen when this has supposedly been a top priority now for several years?
So just to be clear, when we went into Providence, they were already under the DOJ. And that year prior to us taking it over, nothing happened to meet the DOJ's requirements. In the last 2 years, we have actually doubled the number of teachers. They were happy with that. When they talk about the data, they're requiring a data system that pulls all that data up, the different data that they are requiring. And we are in the process of building that. That takes a little bit of time. So that's what they're referring to. And we will continue to build that. We will continue to get teachers certified. We will continue to provide the resources. It is a priority, and it will continue to be a priority.
I also want to ask you about the ESSER funding. There have been some national reports that school districts are not spending that money yet. We know that plans have been submitted to the state by the districts and approved by RIDE. Are districts actually spending that money yet? I mean, just today, my colleague Anita Buffoni is reporting on some cuts being made in South Kingstown to some language and arts programs down there. How is this happening when there's this money available?
So a couple of things. The first receipts for the first batch of money was in July. So that money is what we are working on. So we got the reports, and they're drawing down now on the money. So the second piece about that is that this money is particularly for recovery, right? And what's happened in South Kingstown, this has been a conversation for the last, as long as I've been here about this program. And I have to say, it's a wonderful program. And I know that the district is having conversations on how to really, what that will look like moving forward. We are proponents of dual language programs. I have to say that I have been a dual language teacher. I know that it is extremely important, and it benefits all kids. For parents that may not know what that means, a dual language program is that you have kids that are, let's say, Spanish dominant in the same classroom with kids that only are English dominant, learning both languages together. There is no way that we can provide a better way to learn another language than this model. And what we have found is for our multilingual learners that are in this model, they actually end up outperforming other kids. So, we need to continue to invest. We have invested money. We have worked with the Rhode Island Foundation to get planning grants out. We want it to continue to grow. We are hoping that South Kingstown moves forward and figures out a way to keep this program, because we are really looking to expand, not diminish opportunities for our kids to be able to compete globally.
There's a pandemic-era school meal reimbursement program that's on the verge of expiration. And perhaps more pressingly right now, some schools in other parts of the country are reporting issues with meals because of supply chain issues that we've been covering extensively. Are there any local concerns about the impact of either of those issues?
So we're lucky enough that many of our vendors are local. So we have not seen that supply chain issue. So we're in a good space with that. In terms of the flexibility that we've been granted from the federal government, we know that's coming to an end. Summer meals will still be available free to everyone under the age of 18. And we're looking at other supports that can continue some of the flexibility. But right now we know that the federal government has signaled that that will be coming to an end.
Commissioner, we have covered a lot of ground today. Is there anything else that you'd like to add or let folks at home know?
Yeah, I have to say that as an educator and as a mother, yesterday's tragedy, or murder, right? Because that's what it was, is really harsh and we have to stop saying that we're sending out prayers. Prayers matter. But that's after the fact. We have to take action right now. Schools should not be a place where the adults that work there, the children that go there, are in fear. And I have to say, there's no reason whatsoever an adult should have a rifle like that. We're talking about a weapon that is extremely dangerous and serves one purpose and one purpose only. All of the shootings that have happened have been with the same kind of weapon. The governor is really strong on this, and we have the ability to change what that looks like in Rhode Island. Massachusetts has done it. We need to take action.
Rhode Island Education Commissioner Angélica Infante-Green, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.